What is going on, people from the tube? Welcome back to another Pancho Things dog hunting for beginners by a beginner. Before I get started, I want to let you guys know I got the first shells that I'm going to be using for the new patterning for the SBE3. Depending on what happened with this patterning, that's going to be the shell that I'm going to be using for next season. We're trying to break away from steel, and we're going to do a whole brand new video patterning with 3 different shells that are the 3 options I'm considering for next season. And based on how they pattern, we are going to make a selection, and that's going to be the shells that I'm going to be using the entire next season. So as far as that, we also get gearing up to go fishing. We're getting ready to jump into fishing. There is a giveaway coming, fishing giveaway coming. Once I'm getting closer, we're gonna give more details and get you guys all situated on how to take advantage and try to win this giveaway. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fast-paced fishing season for me. As reasons you guys already know, we're moving, so we gotta utilize our time properly. So other than that, we got also another video coming. I'm gonna be heading out to go and pick up my mount, my first mallard that I ever shot. Actually, the only mallard that I ever shot is getting mounted and it's almost done. Next week I'm gonna be going and picking that up, and hopefully I'm gonna be able to show you guys my taxidermy studio and what she does, so you guys can take a look on her work and see how that bird. I haven't seen the bird since she posted. I'm gonna put an information here. She posted a little video cleaning my bird, preparing it to mount, and I haven't got any reviews since. She hasn't shown me anything, so I'm beyond excited and ready to see how this bird turned out. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. We are going to be talking really briefly about swinging birds and calling words, or what I call calling words. What I consider a calling word. There's going to be instances where you're going to be hunting in a pool, and there might be a group of people hunting in the pool in front of you, behind you, on the sides. And sometimes you start getting the attention of the dogs. You're calling, they're also calling because they want those dogs to go their side in the same way that you're going to be calling, because you want those dogs to come to you. So it gets to a point where it becomes a war. Let's see who gets there, who's going to get those dogs to decoy or get close enough to take a shot. Here's the deal with this. The deal is that if you have, let's talk 2 parties. Let's not go with 4 of them, but 2 parties. One pool, the adjacent pool is hunting as well. You get a group of dogs coming and start working, and you start calling. At that point, the bird is gonna do what the bird is gonna do regardless. But at that point, you're working with your decoys, your call. That's it. That's the main focus there. If you're good at setting up your decoys and you're good at calling, your chances of getting those dogs close to you are way higher than if you're good at placing decoys but not good at calling, or you're great at calling but not good at placing your decoys. That's gonna fluctuate, and you're gonna have now dogs, a group of dogs that have 2 different ponds, 2 different set of decoys, 2 different people calling. They gotta make their decision. And sometimes that is not as simple as they looked at one pool and dive in. Sometimes they start working, start figuring out. Now, here is where the swinging bird terminology comes to play. A swinging bird is a bird that is swinging from one set of decoys to the next. So they're moving, they haven't committed to either of the 2, they're moving. There's 2 different group of people trying to get them down. Now, in my case, I'm not the greatest caller out there. That is a no-brainer. I'm not the greatest caller out there. Calling takes a lot of practice and a lot of repetitions. And even though I do that a lot and try to practice off season as much as I can, Still, is you gotta build up that skill. That skill doesn't just come boom, there you go, you got a duck call and you're already a duck caller. No, you gotta build that skill. So my skills are still building. I'm far beyond to be a great duck caller or a good duck caller, but my decoy placements is where I have, out of the two, my decoy placement skills are better than my calling. So what you tend to see, and I had a couple of videos and I tried to zoom them in as much as I could to show you guys, but the quality wasn't there. So I'm gonna do my best to explain this. You got two pools, two people competing on calling. Boom, 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 back and forward, back and forward. Those dogs, if you look closely and you pay attention to what the dogs are doing, they're gonna show signs of what of those two ponds they actually are gearing towards. Here's the issue. The issue with this is, if you don't understand what's happening and you shoot way too early and miss, you are gonna ruin it for both pools. You're gonna ruin that work that you've been putting. Sometimes it can be 10-15 minutes that you're working these birds down. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, at that point is see what the bird really is doing. In some cases, you will see the bird, when they are gearing towards one particular set of decoys among those two, more likely what you're gonna see is that they're gonna go down towards the pool that they actually want to land on. If that is your pool, you can only expect that the other party understands, okay, that's more likely where they're gearing. So at that point, they will keep calling to try to get him to do the same on their side, but more likely, and the ethical part of that will be, do not take a shot, because those dogs are working, but they're not working on your decoys. They're just doing their circles, they're doing their patterns to land on somebody else's decoy. So in theory, you did your work, the other party did their work, the best caller and the best decoy placement, and ultimately the decision is up to the dog of where they want to go. I've been in situations where we're calling and you can see the birds coming, and that video that I was telling you guys about, I'm gonna try to put the video here so you guys can see and remember exactly what I'm saying right now, and you can go to that video and find out what I'm saying. The dogs clearly are showing signs. There is three people, there's me here, I'm here, there's a guy right here, and there is another group right here. So it's three of us. This guy's not calling, he's not doing anything. We have the war between the two of us. And I realized that the dogs are showing inclinations to go to their pond. So what did I do is I only call when they were close to my area. Once they pass an area that I consider reasonable, it was all up to them, because those dogs were already showing signs that they were pumping the brakes to go into their area. What ended up happening was the dogs finally decide to commit, and they're in their last pass. So they get really low, but you can tell exactly they're not coming to my decoys, they're coming to those. They're just happening to do their final approach in top of my decoys. But that's not that they're gonna land on my decoys. I know exactly they're gonna land there. So at that point, I got quiet, put my shotgun back, let those guys take their birds that we've been working for 20-25 minutes. What ended up happening was the birds are circling this way. Remember, there is a guy here, they're here, I'm here. They're circling this way. They go low to dump into these decoys. This guy that hasn't called, hasn't done anything to work these birds, takes the shot, spooks the birds, doesn't hit any of them, and ruin the opportunity for that guy and ruining the opportunity for me. Those dogs could have actually, on that last pass, they could have been interested. They're now closer to my decoys. They could have just dumped on my decoys. And at that point, if they're dumping my decoys, I gotta take the shots. But we will never know. So that's the theory of the swinging birds. I've seen that a lot with pintails and shovelers. Pintails and shovelers are they're gonna stay there and find what they like, and they commit. Now it takes a little bit of time for you to visualize and see that slow movement of those birds getting closer to one of the set of decoys that they have available. And always you will see them. They're like, okay, I like this, but then something spooks them and they turn around, they get iffy. But the two groups of birds that I've seen do that the most is being shovelers and pintails. And it's observation. At this point, it's all observation. You gotta see what's happening. Now, in theory, could I just take a shot a little bit farther out and maybe hit him? Yes. Would it have been the right thing to do? No, because if I didn't hit the birds, now I ruined it for them. That actually, that's where they wanted to go. So, once again, if they're on the last pass, they're now low enough, you can take a safe shot and take them, but they're not approaching your decoys, they're approaching somebody else's. If they dump on mine for whatever reason, because they liked it or they just saw it and they're just like, okay, this is where I want to be now, then you take your shots. But if they clearly are showing signs that they're going that way and they're going to just dump into their decoys, do not take that shot. That swinging bird does not belong to you anymore. That swinging bird already showed signs that that's where they want to go. Even that both of you did the work, even that both of you put the calling for 20 minutes, they decided that that was the spread where they wanted to go. So at that point, just back off and let these things all fold. Sometimes they might miss those birds, and those birds now are in a low range. Now they might come, and now it's a fair game for everybody. But do not take a shot that you didn't put any work or any effort into you, and that they're far out. If they're dumping in your decoys, that's a different story. But if they're not, if they're just turning because they're going somewhere else and landing in somebody else's decoys, guys, just take pride on the calls and the decoy placement that you do and the birds that you decoy. Don't take pride on somebody else's work for you to try to take a duck, if that makes any sense. At least that's how I see it, and that's how I feel about it. Once again, this is not the first time that this has happened. This has happened a couple of times, and I was fortunate enough to realize that, yeah, there is a show. They show you a sign of where they want to be, and you got to be able to read that kind of subtle variation so you know what's really happening. There's nothing worse than you've been working for 25 minutes on a group of dogs, and you're working, there's somebody else, and I don't know about those guys, but I was enjoying the whole experience. In my case, I was enjoying the whole thing. I was laughing. I was just like, wow, we got a work call here. My calling was far inferior than their calling, but the birds were still showing signs of interest. And I was like, oh my God, look at this, look what we're doing. And then I noticed that the ducks started to like, and then we'll flare, and then we'll come again, but they were always in the same spot. Once they got out of my line, they will dump a little, and then they will flare. And they will dump a little. They never dumped on mine. They were dumping on his. So once you see that, unfortunately, those birds made a commitment. Those birds are showing signs where they're going. Let it be. Let it happen. Unfortunately, we can do the best that we can as callers. We can do the best that we can placing decoys and motion decoys and having the best concealment that we can afford to ourselves, and just hide the best that we can with our surroundings. But once the dogs make the decision of going to a pool that is not yours, and they're still working and slowly coming down and trying to get there, and those people are putting the work, let them be. Let them take their shots. Let them do what they need to do, because clearly dogs wants to be there and not on your decoys. And both of you start with a calling word, which is amazing. Once you see the sign, then you start backing slowly off of the call. And when you see those final passes, that's when you back off completely and let those guys do what they're gonna do. Those dogs are going to do what the dogs are gonna do. There's nothing you can do about it. So that is what I call a calling war and a swinging bird. That's what that is. Thank you so very much for watching. Like, share, subscribe. Click the notification bell so you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. Either it's my mauler, either it's gonna be my new pattern video for the Super Black Eagle 3, or if it's gonna be us doing the fishing giveaway, or simply not fishing. There's a lot of things happening, there's a lot of things coming, so just click that notification bell so you can be notified every time that I upload a new video. If you guys have any ideas or any comments about a topic that you guys want me to touch on, please comment down below. I will do the best that I can in my abilities and my knowledge to give you guys a video with that information. And if I don't know it, as I mentioned before, I will do the best to learn, and we can all learn together. Thank you so very much for watching. Pancho.